Hello and welcome to this Come to Jesus Daily Devotional. I trust you are well. This week in our series in Luke, we're focusing on chapter 12, verses 13 to 34, where the theme is our relationship to wealth. And today we see how we're all vulnerable to and need to be on our guard against greed. Let's read from Luke 12, 13 to 15. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." Today's lesson, greed is an enemy that we must constantly guard against. I think that most people would want to be richer. I don't know about yourself. Would you want to be richer? Do you think that would be great, a good thing for you? I think I'm certainly tempted to think that. I think that we all assume that if we had more money, more stuff, we would be more happy. Now, we're not talking about getting out of poverty, and of course that's a great thing and would make us all happier. I'm talking about having enough, yet wanting more, not being content, not being satisfied. I think that most of us we can all fall into this temptation of being uncontent and thinking that life is found in having more and more. And Jim Carrey, the actor, cautioned against this attitude. He said, "I think everyone should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer." Most of us would respond, "I know that money doesn't buy happiness, but I'd sure like to try." And Jesus warns us, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. And he uses these three main terms. Watch out. Watch out. That's to see to it, to watch, to perceive, to attend to. Are we watching out for greed? He says, be on your guard. Guard. Keep away from it. Beware of it. It emphasizes vigilance to keep what is entrusted. I'm reminded of in the Second World War, where you had searchlights pointing up at the sky when the enemy bombers would fly over because they were being vigilant against the enemy. Are we on our guard? Thirdly, against all kinds of greed. What's greed? It's an inordinate desire for riches, covetousness, avarice, grasping, scheming to extort. And we can all, on a spectrum, fall into this. Greed is an enemy that wants to take us captive. It reminds me of what we read regarding Cain and Abel, when Cain is warned to protect himself against sin in Genesis 4:6. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." And we all know that Cain, he didn't protect himself. He didn't listen to God. Sin did take hold of him, and he did kill his brother because of jealousy. And how do we protect ourselves against the sin of greed? Well, firstly, we need to admit and understand and believe Jesus that we are actually vulnerable to this. Jesus tells us to watch out, to be on your guard against all kinds of greed, because we are vulnerable. Those who know themselves to be susceptible to greed, and we all are, will do what's necessary to protect themselves. It's as when you're in an area, maybe you're going on a holiday, and you see a sign that says, "Pickpockets at work in this area." Well, when you see a sign like that, or when you're told this, what do? You zip up your pockets. If you've got zips, you take your phone out of your back pocket and put it and zip it somewhere. You take your backpack if you've got one. You make sure it's zipped up, and maybe you even put it on your front of your body rather than on your back. You take what necessary action to protect yourself against pickpockets, and likewise, the pickpocket of greed is active in your area, in your life. Be on your guard that he doesn't rob you of contentment and generosity. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. Jesus teaches this. Now, this is the message of greed, and it's the message of the world, that life does often consist in an abundance of possessions. New tech, new cars, new holidays, new homes, new extensions, new this, new that, upgrade. But we know it doesn't lead to happiness. It's often just wasting our resources that could be used in a much more godly and to a greater blessing on many people. In most towns, shopping centres have become the new cathedrals, where we devotedly make pilgrimage and give our wealth. And maybe Amazon, likewise, the online equivalent, where so many people, and so many of us maybe, spend our time and maybe waste our money that could be stewarded under God to a much better use. So in response, greed is an enemy that we must constantly guard against. Do we think about this enemy very often? Do we assume that we're immune to greed's attacks? The danger is that if we've been unaware and passive and haven't even thought about this enemy, we're already under its power in some regard. How is greed affecting you? How are you tempted to be jealous and hoard wealth? Do you think that more stuff will give you true life? Are you wasting your money on what you don't need in the pursuit of the lie that life is found in possessions? As we finish, may we do as we are commanded in Colossians 3, 5-7. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. Because of these, the wrath of God is coming. You used to walk in these ways in the life you once lived. God bless you.